what I thought they were. The Democrats in real life, let me qualify that. The Democrats in real life are exactly what I thought. And I gotta qualify the real life, right? Because there's a lot of people online saying all kind of stuff, doing all kind of things, trying to get their clicks, trying to build up their name or whatever, little echo chambers, people that, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy solving problems. It's not easy fighting for change. So you have the groups of people that are, pretending, the fake activists. Their activism is sitting in the comment section, nodding and yeah, Jimmy Dore is the guy. Yeah, Brian Tyler Cohen, you're doing great work, man. I'm so proud of you. You're really helping. Majority report, yeah. Tell them. They get that emotional, feeling like they doing some work. Meanwhile, they're sitting on their asses, right? Politicians ignoring them. So let's stay on track. So what do I mean when I say Democrats are exactly what I thought they were? So I am right now going to war with my local government. I'm in a Dem city, and I have had it. I'm fed up with the dysfunction. I've had it with the get up off your asses, man. The city's on fire, right? And these politicians are sitting there like, does anybody need any water? How you doing, sir? How you, like, come on, man. Like, the city's on fire. Get the hoses out. The city's on fire. Get them fire trucks out. Get the megaphone. Let's get it on. We gotta fight. Put this fire out, man. But they sitting there, how you doing? What's going on, everybody? Man. So I'm going to war with these politicians. So that puts me in a situation for now. I've been commenting about them. I've been watching them from afar, and I'm online saying, AOC, she's not the one. Bernie's not the one. You guys need to stop with this Cornel West. He's a has-been. He's done good work, but now he ain't the one. Right? Democracy is not automatic. It's self-service. You got to get up and get yours. Can't be sitting at the table talking about democracy is not. So I said all this stuff, all this jazz. But now I am not watching from afar, not responding to what other people say or something I saw online and doing my analysis from afar. I'm doing it from the inside. I had a long talk with the mayor. I had a long talk with my city councilwoman. I had a good talk with many of the top city officials. All right. So I have the opportunity to see what's good in the hood of American politics, and more specifically the Democrats. And before we say anything else, let me just clarify a little something. The Republicans suck. They're a party of trolls, very corrupt, and in fact, they make the Democrats look like they're the good guys, when the Democrats, yeah, that they ain't the good guys. They're the other side of the same dirty coin that came out of the butt of some homeless guy who got the runs. Sorry for the visual. So what have I said about politicians? Democrats in particular. I've said that They are a combination of corrupt slash incompetent. A lot of times I complain about left-wing media. They like to talk about the Democrats are inept. They're so dumb, they don't know politics. A lot of times I disagree with those assessments. Even though incompetence has always been part of my assessment, my main assessment has always been corrupt. Not incompetent, but corrupt. Corrupt in the sense that Weasley, man, say whatever to get elected, right? Stuff you don't really mean, right? You have one objective and one focus, right? But you don't step up with that. You step up with what you think is gonna get you votes. We're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. Change, hope, and change. And you know you ain't goddamn gonna do none of that stuff you talking about, right? You know your agenda and your focus is something else, but it's not for the people, so you don't want to talk about that, right? You keep quiet on that, right? But you say something else, so you run a little bait and switch. That's the fundamental corruption that I talk about when I say corruption. You're deceiving the public, right? Pretending to be on their side, pretending that you're on the same mission. Let's do this, but then that's not really what you're doing. You just pandering, you're playing them for fools, right? So when left-wing media talks about incompetence, I say it's not that they can't, it's that they choose not to, right? They know a lot more than a lot of these left-wing media folks think they know, right? Pay attention to how they function when they really trying to get something done, right? When their jobs are at risk or their donors are mad. The donors are big mad, right? When something really, really hits them, tell me how incompetent they are when they really trying to fight. Now, obviously, some of them are incompetent. You think that we don't have dummies in government? Of course we got dummies in government. But I don't think that's the biggest theme that we got going on. I think the biggest thing is corruption. And then that's the recipe. Got corruption with a side of incompetence. So that was my from the outside looking in commentary. Now I'm on the inside. What is my assessment? I see incompetence and I see corruption. I can confirm without a doubt that these folks can be a bunch of dummies. Case in point, I think anyone with half a brain could have picked up a while ago, months and months ago, that I'm a problem. I am a political problem. I am a political threat, right? They know that the situation, which was made worse by the inaction of the city, the just dereliction of duty, right? So their inaction, their failure to really put in the hard work that's required is definitely a big part of what led me to essentially homelessness, sleeping in my van, the coldest day of the year last year, right? And they know this. I've spoken about this. So you have a guy who, I mean, in order for me to make the money that I made to be able to buy the house that I bought where I bought it, right? Obviously, I am a guy that knows how to get some things done, I'm not a guy to just dismiss and be like, hey, he's just talking. No, I delivered, right? I ain't got no handouts, right? I ain't got no rich uncle, right? I fought with my determination, right, for a long time. And that's how I got to be able to buy the house that I bought. So you got a guy like that that comes to your city, ends up sleeping in his van, right, dealing with all kinds of chaos. And he reaches out to you. And you say, I'm gonna give you a call. The mayor. So you're gonna give me a call. And then you don't. Maybe you forget. City's got a lot of problems going on. I'm just one person. Maybe he forgot. The person reach out again. Hey, what's up? Said you're gonna call me. Hey, what's up? Said you're gonna call me. Several times. You missed all of them? Final message. All right, so next election I'm gonna be looking for alternative next election. Mention about media. Wow. So you have a guy that clearly knows how to get some things done, right? Was able to accomplish a lot in my life, right? Go-getter type person. You promised to speak to them, you didn't do it. They reach out to you several times, somehow you don't respond. Person came down to City Hall yelling loud at your people. Everybody in City Hall was looking, what's going on? What's going on? So this guy is clearly on fire. You got a go-getter type on fire and directly trying to engage with you, and you drop the ball. Say they gonna look for alternatives next election. A person bringing $30,000 in taxes to your city, right? And they say they looking for alternatives, right? And they talking to the media, and you do nothing. That's incompetence. That's incompetence. If you had half a brain, you need to put on your best pandering and like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. We're gonna do something, right? Because you know, a lot of people, this guy may be a go-getter, whatever, he's upset, he's frustrated, right? But ultimately, a lot of people are focused on their own self-interest. That's the one thing you don't know from the information that I've told you so far, is guy's a go-getter, but in terms of looking out for others, that's another story. You don't have any indication about this person cares about anything else but themselves. And most people, that's what the focus is, yourself, your own self-interest, right? So being that the case, that's how most people are, the thing to do is you wanna calm this person down, do what you can to help them out, to shut them up, and then once their main issues are resolved, most likely they just go away and they shut up because their issues are resolved, right? They ain't worry about nobody else but themselves, right? And then you just bit the bullet. Is that the expression? You good. You just avoided a lot of chaos, right? Instead, he doesn't say anything. He just ignores me. Then I start coming to town halls and speaking. I start off light and easy. This what's going on. What's what. Then I crank it up. The next time I speak, we got it up. Actual words, not that's gibberish. And no response. And then the final speech, I came in, I was on fire. I really, really was on fire. Not literally. So much so that the mayor, you could look on his face and he was not a happy camper, right? Because I didn't call them by name. That's coming. But it was very clear I was calling out the council as a whole in terms of their failures. And even after all of that, and also with a specific incident, right? I put forward a specific problem that I had with the tenant that was violating city ordinances, right? We escalated to code the team that deals with the codes, enforcement of codes, and they said they were gonna do something, right? They didn't do anything. The councilwoman was engaged on this, right? So the person is saying, like, there's no fight, you guys not really doing nothing. And that's in a response to an active dereliction of duty. So we could put aside the, oh, they forgot or whatever. No, he just thought this guy that's coming here, spending his time, running a house, a multifamily house. And I'm new at this. It's a lot of work. I ain't got time to waste to go speaking at no town hall, right? That's a sacrifice that I make. And I'm coming consecutive town halls, getting increasingly aggressive. Another council member who has an activist background, and I saw as someone aggressive, like I saw myself in him. If I were a politician, I would be like this guy, a different style, but the aggression levels. I spoke to this person as well. They said, give me a call, we can continue this conversation. Every time it's an excuse, whatever, then they just start ignoring my text. So this guy's ignoring me. My council person got nothing to say. The mayor just sitting there, oh man, this guy, with his face. Does he like, oh shoot, we gotta shut this down. Let me call him up and like, hey man. He just stupid. He think, oh, I'm just gonna go away. So I think that's an example of absolute incompetence. Because you have someone talking to the press, right? What they're talking about is definitely not gonna be good. This person's on fire. They've been, dealing with some real craziness, right? So, you're gonna let a hit piece media article come out talking about you ain't doing nothing, you ain't about nothing. Like, how is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't you see what's happening? Don't you see where things are headed? So I think that's an example of incompetence. But I also think that's not the biggest problem. Right? I think the biggest problem is these guys are not fighters. Right? They are, in my view, it's slicksters, right? Big talk, yeah, this, that, but they're not being honest, man. I think some of these people were looking for a little side job, make a little extra money to make ends meet, right? That's their focus. And that's all they care about. So they will do as much as they need to do to keep this gig going, right? So they'll talk a big game, but they don't really mean a lot of the stuff that they say, man. They're more focused on their self-interest, right? I'm trying to make a little extra money. The bigger guys, when you're talking about Congress, when you make 180,000, you're doing backdoor deals. I mean, a lot of them, to me, the focus is on riches and fame and all that, and that's what they're about. So they talking a good game, this, that, we gotta run, but meanwhile they just about that money, that power, that fame, right? So I think what I'm experiencing here is a validation of my perception of the Democrats. They're fake, they're frauds with a side of incompetence, right? So what that means is they are capable of doing a lot more than they're doing, right? They are capable of delivering a lot more than they're doing. They just choose not to. But there's also some level of competence, so some of the stuff they're doing is bumping around in the dark. But I still think ultimately the biggest problem is corruption. So in other words, if the Democrats really meant what they said, they would be able to deliver a lot more than they are, right? As I said earlier, pay attention to how they function. But that's the thing, people believe in them, right? They believe that if you believe what they say, then you're not going to get this perspective. You need to actually recognize the difference between when they really want something versus when they're just talking. You know, if you can recognize the difference, you see a big difference in how they get down when they trying to do something that that they really want to get done versus, you know, when they pretending like we got to do this and they're just saying it, right? I think an example of potential incompetence, you know, on a national level, I don't even know if that necessarily fully describes it, though. But I would say Joe Biden. I'm looking at the polling right now. Looking where things are headed. And Joe Biden just seems to be clueless about what's going down right now. You know, but even in that scenario, is he really... Is cluelessness, is that really the full explanation? Is that really the full explanation for why Joe Biden doesn't seem to get it right now? With, when I say I'm talking about how poorly he's doing. I mean, he's headed on a path of political destruction right now for so many different reasons. It was already bad, and then the Israel thing, ooh, and he's just sitting there. But I don't know. Is it that you gotta I talked about this before. You know, you gotta realize that how smart you are can be completely compromised by your emotions, right? So you have to separate, you know, someone's intellectual capacity versus them being in a handicapped situation. Like, I could be a big athlete, I'm really strong, fast runner, right? I'm benching hundreds of pounds, whatever it is, right? But then I broke my leg, broke my arm. So technically, yeah, I'm still an athlete. I'm still very strong. I'm a powerful person, but I have a handicap. I ain't gonna be bench pressing no hundreds of pounds with my broken arm. I'm not gonna be running fast with my broken leg. But because my leg is broken, I still have a strong leg. I'm still strong. I'm still a technically a fast runner. I just have an injury, right? I still can lift hundreds of pounds. I just have an injury. I just need to get that to heal, and then I'll be powerful again. So same way, you can have someone who, just like how this guy's very strong but has that injury, which gives a handicap. You can have someone who's very intelligent but they have an injury, which is a handicap. What's the injury? Emotional injury. When I say emotional injury, when your emotions get involved, it clouds your judgment and limits your ability to think clearly, right? So is Joe Biden, if you just look at him in terms of here are the facts and here are the actions he's taking, right? And you say, a guy who looks at this information and then responds in this way, it seems a guy who's not very logical. He's not very smart, right? But is that really what's happening? Or do you have a guy who is smart enough to know better, but his intelligence, whatever level it is, not saying he's like super smart or whatever, his intelligence is compromised or handicapped by emotions. What's the emotion? Ego. That could explain it all. If Joe Biden didn't have an ego problem, I'm not saying that he does, that's not my conclusion, I'm just saying that's an example of what could be happening. But let's say he has an ego issue. If he didn't have an ego issue, he would be able to potentially tap into his full intellectual abilities and come to a different conclusion and therefore take a different tact, right? So remove that ego. Maybe Joe Biden, all of a sudden his brain it's like with the ego, it's like he's looking like this and he just see like a tunnel vision. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be second term, everything's good, don't listen to these naysayers, right? But you take the ego out and it's like his eyes open up and access to his full brain, like whatever level, I mean obviously he's got some issues going on there mentally with his age, but whatever level he's at, right now he has the full access to that, and maybe with that clarity he can be like, oh, whoa, all these things he didn't see before, like, oh shoot, but my poll numbers and and I shouldn't say that he didn't see, it's not that he doesn't see it, you can see all you want to see, but you need that part of your brain that does the critical thinking, right? I could show you, it's like, for example, let's say we're dealing with some kind of something regarding large numbers, some kind of inventory or whatever, right? I can show you all the data, but if you need a calculator to do the calculations and you don't have the calculator, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm showing you, like, here's this, 1,000 this, 2,000, 2.2 million, this, that. I'm giving you all the numbers. You can see all the data, but with no calculator, you can't do the calculations. So it's like, it's not that he's not seeing the stuff, but he needs to see the information and then process the information. And maybe he's not processing that information. So it's not that he's not capable, right? Like that person with the calculator. Give him a calculator, they know how to do the calculation. They could do whatever, but you take the calculator away, they know how to do the calculations, they see the information, but without the calculator, they're stuck, right? So maybe Joe Biden is stuck, right? His ego of like, I'm this or that, whatever, and you know, also it's a lot of factors. It's not that simple, because it's also the bubble or echo chamber, right? He's in an echo chamber, people around him, you know, oh, yes, Mr. President, yes, Mr. President, you know, like a bunch of yes men and women around him. You know, he's only seen certain information. I mean, I don't think Joe Biden is spending his time online watching YouTubers and all kind of stuff. You know, he's seen a certain thing, a certain perspective. So that's part of the problem too. He's only seen certain information, and then perhaps his judgment is being clouded by some kind of emotion, and that's where he's at, right? So I don't quite know how we segue to focus on Joe Biden so much. Hey, Jock, what's going on, man? Cenk has the ego problem, not Biden. I would have to agree with you on that one. Cenk definitely. Well, even see, that's the thing, man. Human beings, we're so complicated, man. Because it's like, I was gonna say, yeah, he looked like he got an ego thing, but how do I know his ego? Right? I don't know his integrity. I can't read his mind. Like, he could be on some dishonest self-interest, like a lot of people are, right? Trying to sell books, right? Maybe, I don't know what the metrics look like for his business. Some of the numbers not looking too good. And, you know, he's like, we got to do something. We got to do something. I know, I'm going to run for president. Right? So you may look at him and say he got ego. You ain't going to win no presidency or whatever. But it's like, no, he knows that. I'm just saying that's what it is. I'm saying potentially, right? Consider this. Like, he could know that he's wasting his time or whatever it is, but that's not the point. The point is he's trying to, you know, he's trying to fix his business, and he's trying to do it by getting more attention, getting on these interviews and that kind of stuff. So making that money from the book, and also helping, in terms of marketing. That's the problem, man. You know, the human capacity for deceit, right? So people can cloud you with what the claims of, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but then that's not really what they're doing. So you get confused. You're like, you're taking them, at the word, right? I'm running for president and this and that and immigrants, whatever, you know what I mean? Like you're taking them at that word, and then you're looking at his action and you're like, man, this guy's a dummy. But that's because you're assuming that what they're saying is true. But if that's not actually what he's doing, if he's doing something else, then maybe what he's doing makes perfect sense, right? If the goal is, I need more attention to my business and I want to make some more money with a book, I think he's doing all right. I don't know how the book sales are going necessarily, but I know that I would say the book sales are certainly doing better than they would if he wasn't running for president. And I would say, I'm gonna take a look. I can't see all the data, but I'm gonna see if I can take a look and see how their channel has been doing since he announced, to see if they've benefited. But I would assume, I mean, it's marketing, right? The more exposure you get, the better. And he's definitely getting more exposure. He was just on the Breakfast Club. I mean, come on, when's the last time you saw him on the Breakfast Club? I'm not saying he's never been on there, because I know he was even on mainstream media. He was on MSNBC or something like that, or I don't remember what channel he was on. So I don't know, maybe he's been on there before, but I know that's not a normal thing. And I know he specifically on the Breakfast Club, I think either it's because of one or both, right? Because of the book / the presidential race. So that's the problem, man. We can't know what Joe Biden is actually thinking. We can't know what his actual intentions are. We can't know what Chunk is really about, what his real intentions are. People say all kinds of stuff, but the reality may not be quite the same. So that makes it difficult. We're trying to make judgments about people and make assessments, like, do I agree with this person, or do I think this person's, what they're doing makes sense? But you're basing it on what they're saying to you, right? So that's kind of an issue. Anyway, so that's all I got. So in short, I feel, from working directly with the Democrats, I feel the primary problem is corruption, and secondary to that is incompetence. But I think corruption is so that's what I thought from the outside and from the inside. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people that they just not too sharp. Not too sharp. That's definitely hurting them. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing is that what they're saying to us versus the reality, there's a huge divide. So they pretty much, in my view, are fake, manipulative, self-interested, right? And that's the biggest problem. If the Democrats really meant the stuff that they say, they would be delivering a lot more. And there's no way that a guy like Trump, a buffoon like Trump, would be doing so well. And I don't care about propaganda. I know it has a lot of effect and power. That's definitely part of it. But you could do all the propaganda you want. If the Democrats were really in alignment with their words, Trump would not have a chance of winning. I'm sorry, man. No chance. He would not be leading like how he's leading right now. The reason he's leading like that is because what Democrats say and what they believe are not quite the same thing. And I want to end with a final detail. I would never make an assumption that the Democrats actually don't care about the stuff they talk about at all. Like AOC, the stuff she talk about, she might care about it, right? She may actually care about, healthcare and housing or whatever she's talking about. It's not that she don't necessarily care, right? You gotta stop looking at people that you disagree with as demons, right? AOC is not Satan. She's a human being who, like most people, are probably focused a lot on self-interest. With that being said, it is very possible that the things that AOC claims to care about, she actually does care about. However, here's a critical detail. Just because I care about a thing doesn't mean that I care to do a lot about that thing, right? For example, I care about suffering all over the globe. I know that there's countries all over this world, people are starving right now. There's so many stuff. Just go around the globe, and there's so many things going on. I care about it. I care about people suffering, right? But have I ever donated to any international something? You know what I mean? What action have I taken to address any of the global issues? I can't say that I've done anything. Now, I've definitely taken action on a more local standpoint. I've tried to help out, with local schools. I used to speak at schools for free, and my own thing. Like, I just basically created my own kind of charity in a way. And so I've done that stuff, but my focus has been very localized. But just because I've been focused on more local things doesn't mean I don't care about things nationally or globally. I care about these things. But the fact that I care about them doesn't have as much relevance because I don't care enough to do something about those things, right? So AOC caring about healthcare and caring about whatever, I mean, that's great and all, but if she doesn't care enough to fight for those things, therein lies the problem. So I would not suggest necessarily that Democrats are completely fake, that they don't care about the stuff they talk about, but what I'm very clear on is they absolutely don't care as much as they present themselves to, right? Based on their actions. So I think another analogy is like, I'd love to win the lottery. I'd love to win the lottery, man. When's the last time I bought a lottery ticket? 20 years ago? Right? But I mean, I really would love to win the lottery. Like that's something that is a strong desire of mine. The things I could do if I won the lottery, right? But I ain't bought a ticket in 20 years. So imagine the Democrats really, just like me, just like I really want to win the lottery. Imagine the Democrats really want, this country to be better and for people to be able to afford healthcare and all the stuff they talk about. Imagine that they really desire, just like I desire to win the lottery, but imagine that they haven't bought a ticket in 20 years. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Visit the Debate Me channel, Debate Me comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Until next time. Good to see you, Jock. Happy holidays. Beginning to see it out like Christmas. I don't know the lyrics to that song.